Okay, so look at Cuphead at 21:9. I'm sure you've all heard by now, this game is so difficult. So difficult. I love it, but that won't change the fact that I've wanted to throw the controller through the screen multiple times. Cuphead is a fantastic indie game, and we have good news on the Ultrawide support. So natively, there is no 21:9 support, it just black bars everything. However, thankfully, a quick exe mod with some hex edits mean we can unlock the 16:9 restriction. Though that is long to do manually, and susahamat has got us beautifully covered and has an exe that is already modded for you to download. So all you need to do is go and download that RAR file, unzip it, go into either the Steam folder or GOG folder depending on which version of the game you own, and take the file inside there and drop it into your Cuphead game install location within Steam or GOG. Just overwrite the original in there, or like me, save the original exe as another name and then bring in the modded one, and off you go. It's super easy. So with the game now working at 21:9, gameplay does show off more on the sides of the screen in pretty much every moment. There is some weird glitching around a bit on the sides with things, like starting a run and gun level has a black bar on the left until you move to the right because there is no level design on the left, and other such little oddities sprinkled around, with text entering that black space or other objects, but really it's the main boss fights that have the black bars on the sides but with random objects clipping over them that are most weird, but it's genuinely not very noticeable most of the time, and it never caused me any issues, and it's certainly a mile better than just having plain black bars on the sides the whole time. Screen effects like the closing black circle that transitions you from various screens, these are all stretched. You can just tell because these circles are not round but sort of squished as they're pulled horizontally. The HUD beautifully shifts out of the way to the sides of the screen, scaling and not stretching to do so. Cutscenes are basically just 16:9 with black bars. The main menu scales further than 16:9, but not quite to 21:9, but it's such a black screen already that you can hardly see that it doesn't quite reach. In-game menus actually amazingly scale to 21:9 properly, with the settings screen even extending to fit the entire screen space, but just shifting menu elements to the left in a 16:9 area. It works very nicely, and there are many in-game menu/info moments that pop up, and these are pretty much always correctly using the 21:9 aspect ratio without stretching or being distorted. There was one issue, however, with the flying information screen, which actually zooms to fill the screen, and so it cuts the top and bottom off of the image, but you can see everything you need to luckily regardless. Finally, loading screens are 21:9 with the old film artifacts effect using the entire screen space, and the loading hourglass jumping away in the far corner. Now, of course, because the game is a 2D side-scroller, platformer, whatever you want to call it, you get the question of how does it work with movement having the extra screen space. And simply put, it works precisely like a 16:9. Your character just can't enter the 21:9 screen space, and it's no problem at all. All those people having a go at me saying you shouldn't want to make a game like this, or fighting game or whatever, have no black bars because it wouldn't work not being able to enter the 21:9 screen width, it works no problem. Obviously, in an ideal world, you could use that extra screen space, but because you're generally in the center of the screen at all moments anyway, you never reach the sides of the screen to hit that invisible border. And because of the level design, you don't think you would be able to enter that extra screen space most of the time either anyway, thanks to walls or whatever being part of the level artwork. Performance-wise, well, even though the game is gorgeous, it doesn't take much power at all to run it, so yeah, you'll have no issues. It is locked to 60 FPS, but this is one occasion where I have no problem, as the style of the image and how it's displayed to you is all part of the experience. There have been some bugs noted, with a few people reporting FPS issues after a while of playing and needing to just restart the game to fix them, and some people are running into save game issues with the game failing to save progress sometimes, but luckily these are all outlier cases. General PC support wise, there is both full controller and keyboard and mouse support, however you really should just stick to using a controller thanks to the very difficult 8-directional shooting pattern. A mouse and keyboard just really aren't up for the task. And also on this point, like many people have found, you must rebind the controller layout. I stuck shooting to the left trigger simply so I could use everything more easily. It's a crazy native layout. So gameplay is really just split into 3 parts. You have the main one, which is boss fights, and the other 2 make up about the other 30% of the game combined. They are the run and gun levels, which is essentially platforming, and the flying section, which I don't know how else you'd classify them, but I love all of it. I have heard that the run and gun levels were added in close to launch, and some people were trying to say that they feel added on and not great, but I completely contest that, and I say that they are brilliant additions to the game. They play very well and are easily as challenging as the main on your feet boss fights, and are welcome breaks in what would otherwise be a long line of boss fights. They are not a negative in the slightest. So you walk around in this kind of hub world, if you will, of which there are a few parts to, 3 or 4 areas, and from here you progress by completing each mission. You meet random people along the way and chat to them, and you've got a shop where you can upgrade your weapons and other assets for yourself for making fights easier. So as a standard, you have a pea shooter, which is just a gun, a special power shot, and a dash move, and that's really it. But by completing levels, you earn coins, and you can spend those at the shop to get upgrades, second weapons, dash improvements, etc. There are a nice assortment of things you can purchase and mix and match together. You can swap around all of your equipment and powers in the hub world before proceeding into a level, and some people have pointed out that they think the pea shooter, your standard weapon, is the best thing to use throughout the game with its power consistency ratio, but honestly, I've been inclined to prefer the homing gun and the shotgun, obviously each their own on how to play, and that's the great point, you have that freedom. Now for actual gameplay when fighting, it's a bloody nightmare getting through any stage. With the rare exception of a moderately easy stage, everyone will take you a ton of retries. Cuphead doesn't care that you're new to the game, it forces you to get good fast or go home. And as hard as the start is, it only gets harder. You get introduced to more abilities, meaning you have more to think about control-wise, and yeah, this is one of the steepest learning curves out there. But as I say, it's worth it. It hooks you with its addictive gameplay, and you have a real drive to want to keep pushing forward. The actual Cuphead characters are funny, I think they are brilliant designs, totally worthy of a Disney creation, and the story is equally well laid out. It's simple, fun, memorable, all you need for this kind of game. But of course, the big thing everyone is not being able to shut up about, and I'm included in that, is the art style. The gorgeous old school cartoon style is hands down one of the best in any game ever. It's beautifully original, it allows bosses to be unique, memorable, exciting, the music matches the tone beautifully, and the voice acting is top notch. The graphics, audio, and music alone are a massive reason to play this. But it doesn't rest purely on that to sell itself, the gameplay is as higher quality too. Now the last lovely point to this is the fact that you can play the entire thing with 2 players in local co-op. It's goddamn brilliant. The game just scales difficulty, and yeah, it's not limited in any way. Each player has their own equipment, and it does change up gameplay a bit because you can save each other from dying by jumping on the ghost of the dying player to bring them back to life. I have to say, this co-op mode is a feature I am a huge fan of. All in all, this gets a total recommendation from me. It's an all-round great game, and whilst there is no native 21x9 support, the 21x9 mod fix is superbly easy to implement, and the resulting support is decent, meaning I can give it a WAF score of 3. So I hope that gives you some information on how the game runs at 21x9. Give this video a like if you found it helpful, and subscribe for future info. For any of the games at 21x9, head over to my channel or the WAF website. Hopefully I've covered it. If I haven't, then leave a comment down below and I'll try and cover it. And if you'd like to support the channel, the links to my Patreon page are in the description, and Amazon affiliate links are there too. See you later.